Hello and welcome to Simply Balanced, the podcast where we dive into, all things balanced. I'm your host, Taylor Grosso, a registered dietitian with a passion to helping you find your unique Balance Girl aesthetic in this often hectic world. Each episode will explore different facets of living a balanced life, whether it's unraveling the latest nutrition trends, discovering mindful eating strategies, or discussing tips for a balanced lifestyle that fits your routine. Balance isn't about perfection, it's about making choices that feel right for you, nurturing your body and mind, and enjoying life's simple pleasures. So whether you're sipping your morning coffee, heading out for a walk, or winding down for the evening, I'm thrilled to have you join me. So let's dive in and talk, all things balanced. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Simply Balanced. As always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate this community and all of you so freaking much. And I am coming off of almost a week off of work, which feels absolutely crazy to say because truly since I started working for myself last July, which is crazy that it's been a year since I started full-time in Simply Healthy, I have not taken hardly any time off. And by taking time off, I truly mean I was checked out of socials. I turned off my DM notifications. I talked to my clients ahead of time and let them know that I was going to be taking some true time off. And I took 5 true days of our vacation where I did not post social content besides stuff that I actually wanted to post. Not that I don't love posting content in general, but you know what I mean, vacation type posts, right? And it wasn't educational content that I had to put a lot of effort behind, is what I mean by that statement. And it feels so weird to come back and get right back into it, but it's also so wonderful to feel so rejuvenated and have so much more creative freedom, I guess you could say. I feel so inspired coming back. I have so many different ideas. And this week's podcast episode is really a light and airy one. We're not really doing a ton. I mean, there'll be a little bit of science sprinkled in because you guys know me, but we're going to be talking about wellness and nutrition trends and products that I can get behind and ones that I'm going to de-influence you on. So like I said, it's going to be more of a little lighthearted episode. And I did share on my story either this episode topic or a deep dive on my Oura Ring. Now, my Oura Ring is going to be a part of wellness products that I can definitely get behind. So I'll talk a little bit about it, but I will still make an episode doing a true deep dive into my Oura Ring and what I really love about it. But we will talk a little bit about it today if you're on the fence with buying an Oura Ring. But thank you again for allowing me the space and time to take some time off and to enjoy a little vacation up in the mountains. It was one of those trips where we were so active the whole trip. I kind of feel I need a vacation from my vacation. I need a relaxing vacation from my vacation that I just took. But I'm excited to get into this episode. I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to get back into podcasting a little bit. I think, like I said, it was nice to have some time away and to have a little bit of space and to really dabble in that creativity. So let's get into today's episode. And also, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, which by the way, we do upload video to YouTube. It's literally just me sitting in my little office podcast studio. But if you want to watch me and watch my hands be animated exactly like they are on TikTok and on Instagram, then feel free to hop on over to YouTube. My wonderful husband, Zachary, posts these on YouTube for me every single week. Well, since we've been kind of off lately, every time I record a podcast, he's sharing them onto YouTube. And the goal is also to get a little bit more involved in YouTube content this year. A lot of people have requested more longer form content, which is something that I really want to do. But quite frankly, I've said this before on the podcast, but truly I am a one-man show besides my podcast producer and then Zach helping me upload my YouTube videos. I don't know how to edit long form content. And that's something that I really want to learn, but also have been so freaking busy. I haven't had the time to learn it. So I'm hoping by the end of the year and early into next year, we're cross promoting a little bit more on the interweb and we're a little bit more on YouTube Shorts. We're a little bit more long form content on YouTube. So if you guys are interested in seeing more YouTube content from me, I would love hearing what you guys want to see. I'm kind of thinking meal prep together, kind of almost cooking class style type videos, but obviously a little bit longer form than what you would see on my TikTok content. But the reason that I said all of that was because if you are watching this on YouTube, I added a little banner behind me. Zach threw me a party a couple weeks ago to surprise me for getting 300,000 followers. He planned it so that my best friend was in town when we did it and it was so much fun, and he made me this cute little banner. So now I am using it as like my little podcast studio background. But my podcast quote unquote studio is literally just my office in our upstairs bedroom. But that's okay that this is all my studio is for right now, because it's cozy, it's homey, and it's mine. And that's what makes me happy. So let's get into the actual topic today. So like I said, we're going to talk about wellness and health trends that I think are worth it as a registered dietitian, and wellness and health trends and products that I don't really think are worth it as a dietitian. So getting into the ones that I think are worth it first, number one on my list is magnesium. Now, you've probably seen me talk about this on TikTok or Instagram because I myself take magnesium. However, there is a big caveat here. Just so you guys know, there are multiple different kinds of magnesium that exist. And the magnesium that people are touting as something that induces calmness or sleepiness, helps your body relax and unwind, the magnesium variety that you are going to want is magnesium glycinate, not magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is literally what you drink before you go get a colonoscopy. I feel like that tells you all that you need to know. But if you take magnesium citrate before you go to bed, you are not going to be sleeping very well because you are going to be shitting your brains out all night. So making sure that whatever product you are taking in terms of magnesium is a form of magnesium glycinate. Now, there are a couple of other forms of magnesium, like magnesium oxide, for example, that can still be beneficial and might not have as much of an impact on the GI system. But when we're talking about really inducing that sleepiness or calmness, magnesium glycinate is really good at igniting what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, or the part of your nervous system that helps you to calm down, unwind, and then obviously fall asleep and stay asleep faster. I will say from personal experience with magnesium and what a lot of my clients who have taken magnesium have said, I notice a bigger difference the more consistent I am with it and the longer that I've taken it. So like the first couple nights that I took it, I was like, I don't really know if this is doing a whole lot for me. I don't know if it's worth the hype, all of the things. And then the longer that I've taken it, I literally can't go a night without it. I absolutely love it. And not to mention that a lot of people are actually deficient in magnesium as well. I believe the statistic is around 50% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. That's another reason that I like magnesium glycinate, is because that's another variety that's really easily absorbable by the body, which means that it's a really good option to help get in enough magnesium in your day. So the one that I specifically take is the Thorne magnesium glycinate. It is a little bit on the pricier side. By the way, this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. It's the one that I buy with my own money every single month. But I actually buy it through my FullScript account, which you can also buy it through there and get a 10% discount. I also get a 10% discount being a healthcare practitioner. The link for that one is in my bio. So I guess it's not really sponsored, but like you can get a discount. I don't get any sort of like commission or kickback on that. It's just a discount that I can offer to people since I'm a practitioner, which I think is super nice. But the reason that I like the Thorne product so much, and this goes for any supplement that I ever recommend, is that it has third-party testing to back it. I believe I've talked about this on the podcast before, but maybe this is the first one that you're listening to. When it comes to supplements, they're regulated by the FDA to the standpoint of basically like, okay, this product is likely not going to kill anybody, but they don't necessarily look at it the same way that they look at our food. So they're not looking to see if what's on the label matches what is in the product. However, if a supplement product decides to go through third-party testing, that is then where you are proving the purity, the potency, and then also the legitimacy of the product. So whatever is on the label is exactly what's in the product. And you might be like, well, why does this really matter? And the reason that it matters is because there have been some sketchy substances that have been put into supplements before. For example, there have been college or professional athletes who were tested positive for drug tests, even though they were not taking drugs, but they were taking unregulated supplements. Now, I'm not saying that every unregulated supplement has some form of a drug substance in it, but it just goes to show that those third-party tested supplements are always going to be more pure, more potent, and actually do the job that it says they're going to do. And I think that is why I always tell clients, I would much rather you buy one or two supplements that are third-party tested, that are a little bit more expensive, and that are tailored specifically to you, rather than buying a slew of super cheap supplements from Target that don't necessarily actually do anything for you, and we don't know the legitimacy of what's what's in that product. So like, for example, the 3 supplements that I personally take on a daily basis, well, I guess there's a couple of different ones, but I take the Clear Stem, which is one for acne. It's a hormonal acne supplement. It is literally just purely a supplement. I absolutely love it. I guess this could also be something that I wasn't planning on talking about this in the pod, but here we are. I love that supplement. Once again, not sponsored, just obsessed with it and use it every single day. And I've repurchased it for months and months and months. It is the one thing outside of a prescription medication that has kept my hormonal acne at bay. I freaking love that product. I take a prenatal. I personally take the Ritual prenatal. I absolutely love it. I've been taking it for a couple of months now. One of the things that I love about it the most is honestly that it doesn't break me out, because a lot of other prenatals, they're really high in biotin, which is known to cause acne. So I have had trouble with prenatals in the past. And the reason that I take a prenatal is not because I'm pregnant. I'm not doing a pregnancy announcement right now, but my husband and I are planning to start trying within the next year or so. And I'm basically just preparing my body. When I came off of birth control, and this is super common for anyone coming off of birth control actually naturally depletes a lot of the vitamins and minerals that can be found in a prenatal vitamin. So replenishing those vitamins and minerals can be super beneficial by taking a daily prenatal. So I take a prenatal every day, the Clear Stem every day, the Seed probiotic. Now, probiotics are incredibly different for every single individual, but I added a probiotic a couple of months ago. Once again, just kind of as a pre-trying for babies type of thing, just to get my body in order and in check and make sure that I'm providing my body with all of the nutrients that it needs. I also always talk about getting probiotics from food. That's why I love eating Greek yogurt every single day. The ones that I get, the Chobani Completes, the Siggy's yogurt, and the Chobani regular yogurt all have live and active cultures, which are probiotics. So I do also get my probiotics from food as well. But those are the 3 supplements, and then magnesium that I am taking literally every single day, no matter what, because I've seen so much benefit from adding all of those into my daily routine. But kind of where that all stemmed from was all of those have science, third-party testing, evidence-based data to back up the legitimacy of their product, which is why as a dietitian, I feel comfortable promoting them. Once again, none of this is medical advice, and it's also something that I want you to do what's best for you. These are just products that I really like and enjoy and wanted to tell you about. So magnesium, amazing option if you are someone who is wanting to fall asleep, stay asleep a little bit longer, if you feel like it's really hard for you to quiet your mind at night. And then, like I said, a lot of people are actually deficient in magnesium. I typically take, so the Thorn one is a powder. I will typically take it, in all honesty, I dry scoop it because I find it to be easier. In the winter months, I drink it with hot bedtime tea and then a little bit of tart cherry juice. But in the summer, it's too freaking hot for me to drink tea. So I don't, and I just dry scoop the dang thing. And I also feel like it kind of gets into my bloodstream a little bit faster if I dry scoop it. So I dry scoop it every night. It's a powder. I just take a swig of water, take the dry scoop, swig of water, we're good to go. It has a really light berry flavor. I will say that if you dry scoop it like I do, it's very, very sour. But if you're mixing it into hot or cold water, it's really just a light berry flavor. It's also actually really good mixed with a poppy for an evening mocktail. Love that as a summer combination, but I also tend to lean towards the cola and the Doc Pot flavors of poppy, which don't mix as well with a mixed berry flavor. So that's all the things on magnesium. But if you're taking some sort of calming or sleeping supplement and you're noticing a lot of bloating, you're noticing a lot of gas, or you're noticing diarrhea from that supplement, it might be that it contains magnesium citrate. I'm seeing that a lot with these supplements where they're just advertising that it's magnesium, that it's going to help you fall asleep, stay asleep longer. However, magnesium citrate is likely not going to really do that for you, and it's probably going to cause a lot of those GI symptoms that I just said. But the reason that a lot of supplement companies are using magnesium citrate is because it is the cheapest variety of magnesium that is available. So magnesium glycinate is the one that I'm going to recommend. The Thorn one is the one that I take specifically. Pure Encapsulations also makes a capsule version that I really enjoy and really like. I love that brand. Third-party tested, another really great option as well. Also, that one tends to be a little bit cheaper than the Thorn powder. So if you want another option, there's another option for you. Okay, product number 2, the Oura Ring and Natural Cycles. So the reason that I paired these two together is because honestly, the only reason that I got an Oura Ring is because of Natural Cycles. So like, well, if this is your first time listening to me, you maybe don't know this, but I started cycle syncing about a year ago, and I came off of hormonal birth control around 4 years ago now. And when I originally came off of hormonal birth control, I started Natural Cycles, and I was at first just taking my temperature with a thermometer. Now, then and currently, I am trying to actively prevent pregnancy until we decide to start when we want to start trying within the next year or so. So in the last 4 years, when I first started, I was using that thermometer every single day. Basically, what Natural Cycles does is it measures your BBT. Basal something temperature. It's the temperature out to the second decimal point. And the reason that you want to measure your temperature is because this is FDA approved, but your temperature actually shifts and changes based on where you're at in your cycle, specifically when you are ovulating. So you'll typically get a temperature spike when your LH, which is the hormone, the luteinizing hormone that spikes right before you ovulate. And that is how you can kind of detect if you are ovulating. And then the algorithm starts to figure out, okay, you're getting a temperature spike. These are the days that you should stay abstinent if you're trying to prevent pregnancy, or the days that you should be having sex if you are trying to get pregnant. And the algorithm has now gotten to know me so well that I maybe have like 10 red days out of the whole month. So those are days that obviously like we're looking to abstain if we're trying to not get pregnant, or days where eventually we will want to have sex because we want to get pregnant. And the reason that I wanted to switch from the thermometer to the Oura Ring, honestly, it was a couple of reasons, but Natural Cycles was definitely the biggest driver. What I love about the Oura Ring and Natural Cycles is just my Oura Ring takes my temperature when I wake up every single morning and uploads it right to the Natural Cycles app. I don't have to measure my temperature. I don't have to worry about it. It's just already automatically loaded into the app. So I rarely miss taking my temperature, which obviously increases the accuracy of the algorithm. So when I was first using Natural Cycles, I was taking LH tests every single month, which basically is an ovulation test to measure your LH levels in your blood, or in your urine, sorry. And when I was doing that, I was like having to remember to do that for multiple days in a row to see when I got to the LH spike, because sometimes I was forgetting to take my temperature and then my days just weren't super accurate. So honestly, it just gives me a lot of ease to know that my temperature is getting uploaded every single day. And it's kind of like at one point I was paying every single month for birth control. And so now I'm just paying every single month for the Natural Cycles app and for my Oura Ring membership, which is honestly around the same price that I was paying for my birth control every single month. And technically, this is now my form of birth control. So that's kind of how I justify like the quote unquote monthly payments that go along with it. But outside of that, I'm obsessed with Natural Cycles. Literally has been one of the best things for natural family planning and coming off of hormonal birth control. It is so freaking easy to use. It is so accurate, like to a freaking T, to the point where I kid you not, guys, Zach's gonna laugh at me sharing this story, but last month I got my period like 5 days early. I'm never early and I'm never late. Literally the day that my cycle is predicted in Natural Cycles every single month, I get my cycle on that day every single month, and it has been like that for basically 2 years. And last month, oopsie, and I started like what I thought was spotting. And so I literally convinced myself that I was implantation bleeding. I recorded myself taking a pregnancy test. Like, this is how much I trust the Natural Cycles app. But it just turned out that for some reason, my period was early that month. I was really sick that month. So I guess like your immunity can kind of impact your cycle and all of those different types of things. And so I think that had something to do with my period coming early. But like, that is truly how much I trust Natural Cycles. I love plugging stuff in there. The more information that you give the app, the better it is at like predicting your algorithm. What else I have really loved about it in terms of like my body image girlies, my luteal phase, so the PMS phase right before I start my cycle, is a massive body image trigger for me specifically. And I started tracking that in my Natural Cycles app every single month, because it was like once a month I was having this inner battle with myself where like my body image was so terrible. I felt awful about myself. I felt awful in the gym. And I was like, I don't get why this is happening. This is before I really dove into cycle syncing and learned more about that. And I started to see this trend that every single month it was happening like 5 days out from the start of my period, 4 days out from the start of my period. And I was like, oh, so there's a correlation here. And then obviously I started to learn a little bit more about cycle syncing, and I learned during your luteal phase that your hormones drop. It also causes your serotonin to drop, which is like your happy hormone, not to mention that we're typically more bloated due to a spike in progesterone. So there's a lot of reasons that women typically feel more poor about their body image during that luteal or PMS phase. And so that allowed me to give myself so much grace with that. And it also allows me to recognize that that is a trigger for me. Like every single month, I'm able to remind myself when I get into that headspace or when I start to feel that way, like I'm redirecting the thought. It's your luteal phase, you're PMSing. This happens every single month. It's temporary. It's going to go away. Lean into your body image toolbox. Put on your comfy, baggy clothes. Don't do as many mirror checks. Just hop in the shower once you get naked. Like, don't be looking at yourself in the mirror all the time because you know what's going to happen. And that has helped me so freaking much in like changing my relationship with my body image and understanding that like it's fucking normal for my body to change throughout the course of the month because I have a 28-day cycle. During that 28-day cycle, my hormones fluctuate and that affects the way that my body looks. I can't change that. It is my female anatomy, and it's also okay. It's okay for my body to shift and change throughout all of my phases of life, throughout the month, throughout the course of a year. It literally does not matter because the female body is so fucking cool, and you are able to literally create a new organ basically every single month in the preparation of potentially getting pregnant, and then you shed that organ, and then you do it all over again. Isn't it magical being a woman? It really is. So natural cycles, absolutely obsessed. Now, I did post on my story that I was going to do a deep dive on my Oura Ring regardless of if I did that for this episode or not. So I'm not going to spend like too much time diving into it because I do want to do like a deep dive episode. All in all, I absolutely love my Oura Ring. I have the gold one. I have the very first, like the first generation one. I don't have the like sleeker looking one, I guess you could say, because quite honestly, I could not justify like another $250 to just not have a bump on the top of it. So I have the gold one because I'm an autumn girly and also because all of my jewelry is gold. I wear it on my index finger. I know there's a lot of people who wear it on other fingers. I like it on my index finger because when I first got it, they told me, or like the pamphlet that I got said that that was the most accurate. So that's why I've just always wore it on my index finger. Literally I have a tan line because I literally never take this thing off. The things that I love the most about it, number one, are that it syncs to natural cycles and it makes my life so much easier with natural family planning and works kind of as like a form of birth control. Number two is that I have learned so much about my body and so much about my cycle via my Oura Ring. It's actually incredible to like, for example, I learned that the spike in progesterone during your luteal phase negatively impacts your REM sleep. So a lot of people during their luteal phase, like my readiness scores are shit during my luteal phase because my sleep is not nearly as good as it is during my follicular and my menstrual phases. It's actually insane to kind of like see how the trends flow on a month-to-month basis. It's also helped me so much with understanding more why rest days are important. Now, you might be like, Taylor, you talk about you need to give your body rest all the time. 100% I do. But when it comes to my eating disorder and what I dealt with orthorexia and exercise and nutrition, honestly, food was something that came more quickly for me. Like healing that relationship came a lot more quickly than healing my relationship with exercise. And there are still times where I've struggled with my relationship with exercise and taking rest days. And I think a lot of that now is more so like I just feel really good when I move my body, and it makes me want to move my body every single day. But I also recognize that my body doesn't need to move every single day. And the reason that I say the Oura Ring has helped with that is because when you can literally see your statistics of like, your body hasn't really recovered, girlfriend. Like, take a little break because this workout is probably not going to benefit your body. What would actually benefit your body is resting. And that's made a huge difference for me in giving myself grace and recognizing that like my body does need rest days and it's not going to recover properly. I'm not going to be able to gain muscle. I'm not going to feel good on a day-to-day basis if I am pushing my body and overtraining to the point that it's no longer benefiting me. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention when it came to like the overtraining. Oh, I remember what it is. The other thing that I love about my Oura Ring is that it focuses on overall health. So I used to wear an Apple Watch and I felt like the Apple Watch is so, and I'm sorry to all my Apple Watch girlies, please don't come for me, please don't get mad at me, but I felt like the rings on my Apple Watch became something that I was so fucking obsessed with, and it was something that literally drove me, like, I still to this day feel like my Apple Watch is part of the reason my eating disorder was not just a food thing, it was also an exercise thing. Because seeing that calorie number, seeing those things, seeing my rings, it notifying me that I haven't moved enough. Like, that was something that was so triggering for my mental space. Now, the Oura Ring does still have calories, but number one, Oura Rings, Apple Watches, Fitbits, Whoops, it literally does not matter. The calories are going to be inaccurate. It's not going to be accurate, and that makes it easier for my brain to process. The Oura Ring also allows you to turn it off of your home screen, so I do not have my caloric burn on my home screen. I can see it when I go into my activity, but I just don't even look at it because, one, I know that it's not correct, and two, it's not benefiting me to look at it because I just don't need to know that. That's not the purpose of me exercising. That's not the purpose of me moving. It has nothing to do with the caloric burn. It has to do with how it benefits my body and how it makes me feel. So I love that the Oura Ring focuses on total health. It recommends rest days. It has a rest mode that you can turn on when you're sick or when you're tired or when you're traveling, and it will not notify you to move. It will say, like, you are in rest mode. Focus solely on recovery. Get sleep. Do all of these things. I've just learned so much more about my body and my health by wearing the Oura Ring than I ever did wearing an Apple Watch or any of the other like varieties of products that are out there. So overall, I love my Oura Ring. I think that it's something that is pricey, but like, I've had mine for 3 years now. It broke a couple of months ago and I was past the 1-year warranty. All I had to do was reach out to their customer service and they immediately replaced it for me and like did everything. And it was great. Like, so easy, such a seamless process. They did not charge me. They were like, yeah, absolutely. It's a firmware issue. Like, we'll just send you a new one. Let us know your size. So great customer service. I've had a great experience. It's lasted for 3 years. People always ask me, like, does it get scratched? Do you wear it to work out? I wear mine to work out because I just don't really care that it gets scratched. Like, the back of it, yes, is scratched up, but like nobody sees that except for me. So I just don't really care. And the front of it isn't scratched. So I'm like, whatever, it's going to get scratched. Like, I'm wearing it when I'm lifting and throwing around weights. So I'm not too concerned about it. But yes, it does get scratched. You obviously like can't see it in the YouTube video, but the back of it is a little bit scratched up, but I just don't really care. So Oura Ring, Natural Cycles, literally cannot recommend them enough. Okay, trend number 3 and 4 kind of go hand in hand with each other. Trend number 3 is eating breakfast. I love the trend of eating a balanced breakfast, of adding in more protein, adding in more fiber, which is trend number 4 that I'm going to talk about. Now, there's a lot of misconstrued information about eating breakfast on social media and on the internet. When it comes to eating breakfast, I think what people need to recognize, specifically eating breakfast before having coffee. There's so much information on the internet saying that it all has to do with cortisol levels. We as women need to lower our cortisol, blah, 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 blah. Okay, first of all, what we need to understand about cortisol, it's normal for cortisol spikes to happen. Women tend to have higher cortisol spikes in the morning. It's just natural. It's the way that our body chemistry works. What we're trying to avoid, it's honestly very similar to blood sugar, is chronic spikes in our cortisol over long periods of time. You know what helps with that? Balancing out your blood sugar levels. You know what helps to balance out your blood sugar levels? Eating a well-balanced breakfast that contains carbohydrates, protein, fat, and or fiber. So that is why I am on board with the eating breakfast before coffee trend. And when it comes to eating or drinking coffee as well, I think what people need to recognize, once again, it's not necessarily that coffee spikes your cortisol. It can, but the studies are pretty insignificant when it comes to cortisol spikes from coffee. What actually can happen when it comes to coffee specifically is it can down-regulate your appetite because caffeine is an appetite suppressant. And then regardless of if you do caffeine-free or not, coffee is acidic. Drinking something acidic on an empty stomach can lead to indigestion. It can lead to nausea, which is likely going to lead you to not want to eat, which then tends to lead people to skipping breakfast, skipping meals, and then they get to lunch and they're like, holy shit, I'm ravenous. And then that's when the pantry raccoon comes out. Or the pantry raccoon comes out later in the day because you felt deprived earlier in your day. I am just someone who is a big proponent of eating a well-balanced breakfast. And even if you're like, I'm not hungry in the morning. I don't have time. All of these different things. First of all, I'm working on an on-the-go, no prep cookbook. So that is going to be available here in a couple of weeks. And that is definitely going to give you some ideas. But number two, finding options that you can literally grab and take as you run out the door. Things like pre-made hard-boiled eggs. The Chobani Completes, they're drinkable yogurts, 20 grams of protein, lactose-free, super easy, super simple. Pair them with a banana. You are good to go. Literally an apple with peanut butter. Just trying to get in something in that morning time that has a little bit of carbs, a little bit of protein, and a little bit of fat. And I promise you, you are going to notice that you feel so much more energized and you feel so much better throughout the course of the rest of your day. Now, I know I mentioned that fiber and eating breakfast kind of go hand in hand. That has to do with one, balancing blood sugar levels, and then two, adding in fiber at your breakfast. But fiber is so freaking beneficial. I feel like it's the buzzword of 2024, which makes me so happy because I freaking love fiber and I love people adding more fiber into their diets because fiber helps to balance out blood sugar levels by slowing down the sugar entering your bloodstream. Carbohydrates are all sugar in their simplest form. They break down into glucose. Fiber helps to slow that process down, basically sustaining the energy that you get from the carbs rather than getting a big burst of the energy from the carbs right away. Not to mention that fiber also benefits our gut health. It's a prebiotic, which means that it feeds the beneficial probiotics that exist in our gut microbiome. So don't buy another gut health supplement. That's one of the things I'm de-influencing you from. No greens powders, no gut health supplements, no bloating supplements. Try to eat more fiber. Complex carbohydrates, whole grains, fruits and vegetables, legumes, beans, lentils. Any of these things are going to contain a good amount of fiber that is likely going to help with constipation, with bloating, with all of these things. Go low and slow, kind of like garden gummies. Don't be starting off with 25 grams of fiber in a day. Don't be buying the tortillas that have 17 grams of fiber right off the bat. Those are likely going to lead to bloating because your stomach is not used to it. Slowly introduce fiber over time, and I can almost guarantee you it will improve your gut health. Not to mention that fiber also helps to lower overall cholesterol levels. So if you're someone who struggles with high cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, emphasizing fiber in your diet is going to be incredibly beneficial for that. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about, I just want to say I was gifted these. I've taken them for a month consistently, and I did do a paid partnership with them. But when I tell you guys that I am freaking obsessed with them and I take them every single night and I just reordered more with my own money because they are literally a new part of my staple. Cured nightcaps, so it's Cured Nutrition, and then their nightcaps are absolutely incredible for sleep. So there's CBN and CBD. What I understand about CBN, and Zach always makes fun of me because I pronounce this wrong, but CBN and CBD are cannabinoids. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. It's kind of like everybody made fun of me on my glyphosate video because for some reason I read glyphosate as glyphosate and I always say it wrong. And then I'll post the video and I'll be like, damn it, I didn't say it right again. I know how to pronounce these words theoretically, but for some reason when I see them, like, I'm not dyslexic, but it makes me feel like I'm dyslexic. Same with this word, the cannabinoids, whatever. CBN and CBD are both those, and they do not contain THC. So there is no psychoactive effect to these nightcaps whatsoever. It is just CBN and just CBD. CBN is a cannabinoid, guys, that's going to frustrate me so much. We're just going to say CBN and CBD. It is a substance that basically has like a sedative effect. And I know that sounds kind of like scary, but it's not. It's not like you're getting a sedative. It is literally just like it kind of calms and lulls you to sleep without that like addicting property of melatonin. And that is what I love about it so much is that like I can go a night without taking it and still fall asleep. But the nights that I do take it, when I tell you, I don't wake up once throughout the entirety of the night. Like my Oura Ring data, like today, I took them last night. My sleep score this morning was a 95. My sleep score is never that high. My deep sleep and my REM sleep were both like through the roof for the night compared to what my normal average trend is. It is actually insane how beneficial these have been to me for falling asleep and staying asleep. And I'm someone who has a racing mind before I go to bed. That's a lot of the reason that like I originally started taking garden gummies, but just my personal, like how I handle garden gummies. I don't want to take them every single day. And I definitely don't want to become dependent on them for sleep. I typically take them to just like calm down, relax, and unwind at night. And like they do help me fall asleep a little bit faster and stay asleep a little bit longer. But I typically try to only take them like 3 or 4-ish times a week at the most. So that is why I love these as an alternative to those nights where I find myself where my head is just racing or I'm feeling like I'm not really that sleepy when I'm laying down for bed. I pop one of these with my magnesium and I am out like a freaking light. I love them. If I remember correctly, my code is GRASSO, GRASSO, for 15% off any of the products on their website. But the one specifically that I really love is the cured nightcaps. I also love their Serenity gummies, which do contain THC. And I also love their, it's like a Clarity is what it's called. I believe that one does not have THC in it. It's more so like a focus. I've been taking that for the first time the last couple of days because I ran out of my ADHD medication and I keep forgetting to set up my appointment to get more because ADHD problems. And so I've been taking those the last couple of days and they are definitely no Adderall by any means, but they do make a little bit of a difference. Like I noticed that when I take them, I definitely am able to stay a little bit more focused. I feel a little bit more clear-headed. Typically take it in the morning with my vitamins and I'm really enjoying it. So overall, I really love all of their products. Okay, I forgot what number we're on, but the next one is electrolytes. So my favorite electrolyte brands are LMNT and then DripDrop. I just want to put a disclaimer out there again. I did do a paid partnership with DripDrop, but I drink it. I purchase it myself. I was using it prior to doing a partnership with them. LMNT, I have no affiliation with whatsoever. I wish they would because I'm freaking obsessed with their product, but they keep ghosting my agent. So if anyone's listening to this and has connections at LMNT, hit a girl up because I freaking love LMNT. So LMNT and DripDrop are both fantastic electrolyte products. The reason that I love electrolytes is one, because ever since February, I've gotten really into hot yoga and I sweat. Like I am not one of those girls who goes to the gym and like looks all cutesy. Like I'm dripping. I have pit stains. I've got the crotch sweat. Like I am a sweaty girly and I've always been a sweaty girly. I used to be very self-conscious about it, but you know what? Now I just embrace it because it's like, once again, it's my anatomy. I literally can't change it. So like, what's the point of being self-conscious about something that I cannot change about myself? And also like, I kind of like sweating. It makes me feel good. Like I love going to hot yoga and getting in a really good sweat. However, I am also a salty sweater, which the way that I know that is because when sweat drips in, this is so gross. When sweat drips into my mouth, I can taste that it's salty. Typically, if you are a heavy sweater, you are also a salty sweater. And what I mean by that is we have electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride. These electrolytes actually help us to absorb the water that we are drinking. And now if you are someone who's like, well, I drink a crap ton of water and I am very well hydrated. My question to you would be, is your urine clear? And you might be like, that's a weird question, Taylor. If you're drinking a ton of water and your urine is clear and you are peeing very frequently, you are not actually getting as hydrated from that water as you think you are. And you can actually get water intoxication. I'm not trying to scare you. I've just actually seen this a lot on social media. I saw it a ton in like January and February when people were doing the 75 hard for like a New Year's challenge. And they didn't recognize that when you're eating a lot of whole foods that don't have as much sodium and you're not adding salt to your food and then you're drinking a ton of water, you can get an imbalance in your sodium and water levels that can actually lead to water intoxication. Now, this is not necessarily a common thing. However, there are a lot of people out there who are not necessarily getting enough electrolytes, especially in the summer months when you're sweating more often. So someone like me, for example, who is in a really humid climate, I'm going to things like hot yoga. I love to supplement with electrolytes to get in a sufficient amount of sodium, potassium, chloride, all of those different electrolytes to actually absorb the water that I'm drinking. I love them for travel. I never go, especially when we go to Colorado and I'm in the altitude, I never travel without electrolytes. I took both DripDrop and LMNT to Colorado last week. DripDrop has a little bit more sugar. LMNT has 0 sugar at all. LMNT is also really high in sodium. It has 1,000 milligrams. So if I have like an exceptionally sweaty day, like I'm going to a hot yoga class, I'll do a full packet. If I have just like a moderately sweaty day, I'll do like half of a packet of it. And then if I'm doing like an intense workout and I'm drinking something during it, that is when I really like DripDrop, because then I'm getting the glucose or the carbohydrates or the sugar, all interchangeable words, to provide me with that extra hit of energy, and then also electrolytes. So like DripDrop's fantastic for like during runs, or sometimes I'll even put it in my water bottle during a hot yoga class. But overall, freaking love electrolytes. And my favorite flavors, DripDrop, I love I think it's like strawberry or mixed berry. And then I also really like the grape flavor. And then for LMNT, watermelon and raspberry are by far my two favorite flavors. But I do want to say, I tried the LMNT like canned drinks. They're way too salty for my preference, which is saying something because your girl loves salt. I love salt, and they were just a little too much for me. I'm so sorry to say it, but I think that if they cut the salt in like half, those cans would be really freaking good. So if anyone from LMNT PR team is listening to me, 1, would love to work with you. 2, cut your salt in half on those cans, and your girl will be buying all of them out. Now, for the last thing that's worth it, I am going to plug my new program just a little bit, and that is called Nourish Without Numbers. And this program was created to help you learn how to diet, help you learn how to stop dieting and learn how to eat. This program launches on July 15th. I'm not sure if this episode will come out before or after that, but I just felt like it was something that I really wanted to share with you all because I am so freaking excited about it. Basically, I was to the point where I was getting so many applications for one-on-one coaching that I just simply could not keep up with. And I talked to many business coaches, and all of them were like, raise your prices, raise your prices, raise your prices. And that just feels icky to me. I already don't like charging the amount that I charge. But once again, the reason that I originally did that was because there was so much interest, and that is what business coaches told me to do. But it got to the point where I was like, I'm not comfortable increasing my prices anymore. How can I create a program that provides women with the information that they need, but allows there to be different tiered options for different prices, and still allows that flexibility of me to work one-on-one with people who want that type of service, but also allows people to pay a much lower ticket price to be able to get the information that they need. That is exactly what Nourish Without Numbers is. I created it with my friend Cassidy, who's a holistic health coach. I love our partnership together because I teach the why behind the nutrition. I teach you how to build balanced plates. I teach you why carbohydrates are important, why proteins, fats, and fibers are important, and then why your metabolism is the way that it is, how to then incorporate these things into a well-balanced diet. And Cassidy is truly the expert in the behavior science. How do we then take this information that you've learned about the why and actually turn it into long-term sustainable habits? Because the reality is, I saw a TikTok on this the other day where a girl was like, I'm so sick of eating clean 6 days a week. And then on the weekends, I feel like I'm out of control for this cycle to start every single Monday, and for me to be riddled with guilt and shame. The amount of women that commented on that, this is girlhood, this is womanhood, that is not girlhood. That is not womanhood. And you should not be feeling like that every single day. You should be empowered with education to actually understand nutrition, how to fuel your body, and not be trapped by the control of food. Not have food, your body, and weight control your brain. That is why we created this program. We took all of the information that we've gotten from women over the years that we've worked with them, the hundreds of women that we have helped gain food freedom, and literally put it into a self-paced course that you can listen to via audio. There's visual resources, there's cookbooks, there's ebooks, there's access to so many of our programs. There's access directly to us. And then based on the tiers that you go up into, gets you more and more access to each of us. Now, I normally don't plug my own services. I normally don't talk about these types of things, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about this program, because the amount of girlies that I know listen to this podcast that I know would benefit from this program, I know this is something that so many people need, and I'm so freaking passionate about it. We've been working on this for like 3.5 months, and it literally like almost makes me want to tear up. I was talking to a client who purchased yesterday, and we were talking through this, and she was like, I just simply want to know how to eat. Like, I feel so at a loss all the time by social media. I feel so at a loss by the people in my life who make me feel guilty or shameful for enjoying like a donut or margaritas and tacos with my girlfriends. And I don't know how to do this in a balanced way. And literally we were both brought to tears, like on the phone having this conversation. And the main reason that I was brought to tears was because I was like, the amount of women that feel like this on a daily basis is just not okay. And it's something that like, it's the reason I started creating content. And now it's the reason I created this program. So I just wanted to let you guys all know first. I wanted to give you the little exclusive behind the scene. And in my opinion, Nourish without numbers is 100% worth it. So thank you for letting me plug myself for a tiny little moment. Now, I won't spend too much time because I just talked your guys' freaking ear off on all of the things that are worth it. But wellness and health products that are not worth it. Number one, greens powders. Please, for the love of God, greens powders are really just a fancy, expensive multivitamin. That is literally all they are. They taste like grass. I mean, they're not good, like taste-wise at all. I mean, if you like your greens powder, you go, girlfriend. But I think the reason that a lot of people might feel better when drinking greens powders has to do with the fact that a lot of the times they put things like digestive enzymes, they put things like probiotics and prebiotics in there. And I am by no means saying that like every greens powder is quote unquote bad or not good for you. It's more so just that I would much rather you get the beneficial nutrition that's in a greens powder in terms of the vitamins, the minerals, the prebiotics, the probiotics from food first. And if you're someone who's like, Taylor, I absolutely will not eat a single vegetable, that's a person where a greens powder might be beneficial. But otherwise, it's really just a fancy, expensive multivitamin that's not necessarily doing a whole lot for you. And on that, I've also seen so many freaking TikToks on digestive enzymes and people being like, these have literally cured my bloating. Your body naturally makes digestive enzymes, okay? Like you have digestive enzymes in your body. A lot of the times, the only reason that you would need to purchase a digestive enzyme is if you're having a ton of GI conditions. And also, if you're having a ton of GI conditions like constipation, bloating, gas, diarrhea, all of these different things, you should see a GI doctor before buying a digestive enzyme because addressing the root cause is always going to be better than putting a Band-Aid on it. And digestive enzymes, a lot of the times, probably going to be putting a Band-Aid on it. Once again, not necessarily a bad thing. Like sometimes when I travel, I'll take digestive enzymes with me because I'm eating foods that I'm not typically eating, but taking them every day is probably not necessary. And like I said, not necessarily addressing the root cause of why those GI issues are happening. Juice cleanses and detoxes are never going to be worth it. They're just expensive ways to make you shit your brains out. Like truthfully, juice cleanses and detoxes, a lot of the times they are just like a bunch of juice that is going to make you poop and you're going to be very, very hungry and very irritable and not enjoy yourself for the amount of days that you're doing it. Not to mention that detoxes, you have detoxifying organs. You have a liver, you have kidneys, you have a colon. You have skin. Their entire purpose is to detoxify you. Your liver and your kidneys are going to filter out toxins on their own. Your kidneys are going to filter it out through the urine. And then your colon is going to excrete waste. That's why we poop. We're excreting waste and detoxifying in that way. And then I said your skin because sweating, like I said, going to the sauna, literally stepping outside. If you live in the Midwest or anywhere that's humid throughout the course of the entire summer, you're probably going to be doing just fine. But sweating, moving your body in ways that you enjoy, you're going to be releasing quote unquote toxins out through your skin via sweat. So those are the things that I would recommend is eating a sufficient amount of fiber to support your colon, drinking enough water to support your kidneys, eating and drinking a well-balanced diet in order to support your liver, and then also just making sure that you're moving your body in ways that you enjoy and occasionally getting a good sweat in. And that's plenty of detoxification. You do not need to buy a detox. Any natural, quote unquote, Ozempic methods or remedies. I've seen so many of these circulating on the internet and circulating on TikTok as quick weight loss gimmicks. And that's exactly what they probably are. There's going to be no natural remedy that's going to mimic a GLP-1. Like it's just not going to happen. And also when it comes to GLP-1s, they can be incredibly beneficial for those who actually need them, like type 2 diabetics, for example. However, using them as a quick fix weight loss solution, which is, I'm not saying that everybody is doing that, but there are a lot of people who are just using it as a quick fix solution to drop a few pounds. Using it as that is not going to provide you with long-term sustainable results the same way any natural quote unquote methods or remedies is not going to provide you with long-term methods or results. What I would recommend per usual is eating a well-balanced diet, focusing on moving your body in ways that you enjoy, managing your stress to the best of your abilities, and also drinking enough water. I didn't have any other like wellness trends or products that aren't necessarily worth it, but if you guys have any other ones that you want me to break down on the pod, just let me know, because I know that there is literally so many out there, and I don't know why I had trouble thinking of them. I really could only think of the ones that I were like, hell yeah, that is definitely worth it. So those are my products that I love, I use daily. They are something that I find to be incredibly worth it. And actually the trend is like, heck yes, I would get behind that. But then there's also a lot that I'm like, well, probably not necessarily worth it. But basically, if there's just any blatant claims being made, like you're going to lose 15 pounds in 10 days, or your bloating is going to be gone forever, or this is a natural Ozempic remedy, or like this is going to detoxify your entire body. Those types of things are a big red flag that it's a quick fix solution that they're just trying to sell you on, and it's probably not going to really do anything for you. So I thought that episode was going to be way shorter, but I kind of talked your guys' ear off about the things that I really like, which if that doesn't show you that I really like them, I don't know what will. Thank you guys all so much for listening. This was a really fun episode for me. It was nice to kind of be like lighthearted. And yes, there was a little bit of science, but not nearly as much as what we normally do on the episodes. And as always, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening to Simply Balanced. And thank you so much for supporting me on social media. As I mentioned, Nourish Without Numbers. Oh my gosh. Nourish Without Numbers launches on July 15th. The waitlist is in the link in my bio, and you're going to be getting some pretty exclusive offers within the first 48 hours if you are subscribed to that list. So I would highly recommend it if you are at all interested. I will also tag some of these products in the show notes if you're interested in looking into them. Feel free, if you have questions on any of them, to send me a DM on Instagram, and I'm happy to answer any of those questions that you have. Instagram is definitely the best place to reach me. My TikTok DMs have like 1,000 messages. It's literally impossible for me to go through. So if you have questions, reach out to me via Instagram. But as always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful rest of your week. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Simply Balanced. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing a part of your day with me. I hope you find inspiration in our discussion and feel more equipped to embrace the balanced girl aesthetic in your daily life. Remember, balance is a journey, not a destination. It's about finding what works for you in your unique way. As we part ways, I encourage you to reflect on one thing you learned today and how you can incorporate that into your life to create more balance. Don't forget to subscribe to Simply Balanced so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed our time together, consider leaving a review or sharing the podcast with a friend. Your support means the world, and until next time, keep striving for balance, nourish your body and mind, and remember to cherish life's simple pleasures. This is Taylor Grasso signing off. Stay balanced, and see you next episode.